Good day, and welcome to the Big East Men's Basketball Coaches Media Teleconference. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to John Paquette. Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone, for joining us on our first Big East Men's Basketball teleconference of the season. We'll have each coach on for approximately 8 minutes, and we'll have the same format as in the past. After an opening statement from a coach, you'll be able to ask questions. To ask a question, hit *1 on your telephone, and then the operator will introduce you. *1 and wait for the operator to introduce you. So we're moving to Coach Greg McDermott of Creighton. Creighton, one of 3 Big East teams that played last night. The Blue Jays beat Coppin State 102-77. Creighton right now 9-4 on the season. Their first conference game, is at St. John's on Thursday. Greg, thanks for joining us on the call. If you can give us a brief comment on last night's win, and then your thoughts on facing St. John's.
Thanks, John. I was pleased with the way we competed last night. Obviously, that first game coming back after Christmas break and leading up to conference play is always a little scary, trying to get the guys' focus where it needs to be. But I thought we had 3 really good practices leading up to the game last night, and did some better things defensively. And once again, our offense was very efficient. 102 points in 70 possessions. I don't care who you're playing. That's pretty efficient, effective offense. St. John's on Thursday, you go back a couple games and watch how they played against Syracuse. They were so efficient that game on both ends of the floor. The South Carolina game, who I think is a very good team, was a close game with 6 or 7 minutes to go before South Carolina pulled away at the end. So, I have a tendency to look at what a team's capable of rather than maybe the entire body of work. And the reality of it is, when conference play starts, you're going to get everybody's best shot. And Chris has obviously put together a group of new guys there at St. John's and is trying to instill his system of play on both ends of the floor. And with that's going to take some time. But I think this is an improving basketball team and one we're going to have to be ready for on Thursday.
Thank you, Greg. For questions, please hit *1 on your telephone. Then the operator will introduce you. Hit *1 to ask a question.
Okay, and we will take our first question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Oh, hi, Greg.
Good morning, Sean.
Hi. Hey, listen, as you're beginning to start conference play, I was wondering if you could talk about what the strength of the conference is right now. It's 4 teams ranked in the top 16 and a 91-29 non-conference record so far. Could you talk about the strength of the league and how you think the league might play out this year?
Well, I have no idea how it's going to play out. Obviously, you get into conference play, and so much of it is dependent on who can stay healthy at the right times. Who can survive a night when you don't play particularly well but still find a way to win. Villanova, Butler, Xavier, Providence certainly have played great basketball. Marquette has not lost since November, so they seem to have found themselves. I just think that the depth of the league is even better than it was a year ago. I think most teams have elevated their play from a year ago, and that makes for an exciting conference run. I don't think there's really any easy outs, and I think it's going to be as good as ever. But, to have 4 teams ranked in the top 16 or 17 of the country at this period of time, I think speaks volumes of the strength of our league as we've gone out and played against, other Power 5 competition. I think our league has fared very, very well.
Hey, thanks, Greg.
And we'll take our next question from Eric Watkins from VUSports.com. I apologize.
Hi, good morning, Coach. What aspect of your team's performance, the out-of-conference schedule, has been most surprising to you so far?
Well, maybe 2 things. I think the efficiency of our offense has been outstanding and probably better than I would have anticipated with the number of new faces that we're putting on the floor, even though some of them Cole Huff and Maurice Watson in particular have played at the Division I level. They've never played with this group of guys and in this system. And then secondly, I've been disappointed in our ability to defend consistently. And, our offense has to continue to play at a high level. And defensively, we have to move forward as quickly as we possibly can because it's hard to win shootouts in this league. You have to be able to defend and rebound the basketball. So, I'm pleasantly surprised at how good the offense has been. Also a little surprised and disappointed that our defense hasn't been a little more consistent.
Thank you, Coach.
And we'll now take a question from John Fanta from the Big East Digital Network.
Coach, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Same to
What
you, John.
exactly has it been? What exactly has it been? In your mind that Maurice Watson has been able to give you? You knew that he would be a standout for you, but has he, from what you expected from him compared to now what he's given you, what has it been that he's been able to deliver?
Well, his leadership first and foremost. I just think especially the last 3 weeks, Maurice has done a better job of having a consistent approach to practice with his attitude, with his energy. And obviously when you're learning a new system and learning to play with a new group of guys, there's a period of adjustment. But he's adjusted well. He had some uncharacteristic turnovers in the first 3 or 4 games of the season. His assisted turnover was not great. It wasn't even 2-1, I believe, at that time. But the last 9 games, it's been 4-1 plus. He's making great decisions with the basketball, really distributing the basketball at a high rate to his teammates, but shooting nearly 50% from the field, 40% from the three-point line, over 70% from the foul line. So he's doing everything you want a point guard to do, and I think he's growing on the defensive end as well. So, I think he's a real gem and a lot of fun to coach.
Greg, we have to move on. We appreciate your time as always. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you.
Now we are moving on to Providence and Coach Ed Cooley. The Friars are ranked 12th in the AP, 13th in USA Today this week. They're 12-1, getting ready to open their league schedule at Butler on Thursday. That'll be a 2:30 start on CBS Sports Network. And, Ed, we appreciate you joining us on the call. If you could give us maybe a general thought or two of the team's progress to date and then comment specifically on the matchup with Butler. Do we have Coach Cooley on the line?
One moment, sir. Let me locate him.
Okay.
Coach Cooley, your line has been opened.
Okay, are we good here?
Yes, we're good now. So sorry,
Yep.
we had your line closed for a second there.
No problem. I heard exactly what you're saying. I was talking about we're trying to get healthy. We went through the virus that went through the team. Guys are feeling a little bit better. We're excited to get back on the floor. Still without one of our original starters. We're still dealing with some mono issues, but hopefully the guys that have played in this place are getting more comfortable on the floor, trying to play at a good pace, trying to play with a good rhythm. We're really excited to play against a great team in Butler, efficient team, tough environment to walk into, and hopefully some of our non-conference schedule have prepared us to play in our first Big East road game.
Questions for Coach Ed Cooley. Hit *1 on your telephone. The operator will introduce you. *1 for questions for Coach Ed Cooley of Providence.
And we will take our first question from Brendan McGarr from Pawtucket Times.
Ed, how are you?
Brandon, Happy New Year, brother.
Happy New Year. First I wanted to ask how Ryan is progressing, and is there any closer to a timetable when you might get him back or anything?
We don't know at this moment right now. He's actually home. He's been home now for a week and a half. Still tired, lost some weight. Hopefully we'll see him at the hotel later on tonight. Just trying to get him better. There's no timetable. I mean, that's it's one of those things you got to deal with to make sure you take care of the student athlete.
And second, just wanted to ask you about how you guys have improved defensively over the course of the non-conference play. Going back to you guys out in California running into a lot of foul trouble and things like that, it seems foul trouble has not been as much of a glaring issue the last maybe 5 or 6 games. So just talk about defensively, guys moving their feet, things like that, and staying out of foul trouble.
Well, I think it's important, with the point of emphasis on, with the point of emphasis on the fouls. We're holding the guys accountable in practice, trying to get them to use their feet and their chest more, and not having dumb fouls. I think it's important that our players understand that. So, and it's not like we're very deep, so we got to make sure that we're disciplined on the defensive end.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
And we'll take a question now from Steve Peravar from Omaha World Herald.
Good morning, Ed.
Steve, good morning. How are you?
Pretty good. Hey, obviously, got some teams off some pretty hot starts in the league. I guess when you look around the league, I know you haven't had a chance to study everybody, but what do you think it bodes for the league as over the next couple months when you got teams playing at the caliber that a lot of teams are?
But, first of all, I love our league. I think our league is continuing to improve every single year. I think the league is up for grabs. Some of the older guys that are back have all improved. You got to win your home games. I think all of us coaches put such a heavy emphasis on protecting home court. It is so tough to win on the road. But I think we've done our work in the non-conference to continue to have a great league RPI. So, every time we lace it up, we're going to be playing against a top 100 team just about every game in our league. So we're excited about that.
Thanks, Ed.
Thank you.
And we'll go now to Eric Watkins from VUSports.com.
Good morning, Coach. I was wondering if you could share with me what you believe is the most surprising aspect of the way your teams performed during the non-conference season.
The most surprising aspect. I mean, we lost some really talented players from last year. Their confidence, their level of confidence, their belief in what we're trying to do. Very, very excited about the chemistry that has been built and guys embracing their roles. I think that's the most difficult thing to coach is when you're changing roles, will guys embrace them? So it's been great to see those guys accept those roles, expand their roles, and we feel we have guys that are continue to improve. So those are the things that have been surprising to me.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And we will take our next question from Mike Hopkins from PCBB 1917.
Coach, speaking about the role thing, just one follow-up on that with just talk specifically about Junior Lamamba and how much he's improved so far in the non-conference from last year.
Well, he's our glue guy. He's our staple. He does a lot of things well. Not great at one thing. He's just been able to lead the team. He's been able to be a tough defender, be a multifaceted player, and I think all teams need guys like him. Not a lot of people want to embrace that role. It is a role that's really important to the coaches, and I think he has really surpassed what we thought he'd be able to do this year with respect to being that glue guy. So he's a very, very important piece to our team.
And we'll take our next question from Max Garbovich from the Butler Collegian.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to ask about, I think people nationally, as far as fans, know about Chris. But Ben wins, the East Player of the Week this week. can you just talk about his game and what fans should know about him?
Well, I mean, Ben is someone who's really worked at his game, has ultimate confidence, wants to be good. I want everybody in America just to concentrate on Chris. God bless him. I hope they continue to do that. And, our other players are still trying to emerge in his shadow. So the more they concentrate on Chris, the better it is for us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
We'll now take a question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Oh, hi, Ed. Actually, previous call asked about Ben. I want to know about Ben, too. Is he, Chris ordinarily does get all the attention there, but is Ben maybe a guy that, a quiet superstar in this league?
I'm sorry, can you ask that question again, Sean? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the full question.
That's okay. I said Chris, deservedly gets most of the attention from opponents, but is Ben maybe an overlooked star in this league? Because he just kind of goes about his business and
I think Ben is emerging. He's someone who has to continue to earn his way in. He went from the ultimate role player last year, but his last 5 or 6 games really started to come on. With the loss of LaDante, Tyler, Carson, Pascal, we told Ben he's really got to be a focal point for us offensively because we're going to need somebody else to score the ball, and he's really embraced that role. I don't think he's underrated by any coach in this league. They played against him last year, saw what he was doing. I think he's underrated from the coaches that haven't competed against him.
Okay. Thanks, Ed.
Ed, we're about out of time. We appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We are in the process of reaching out to Dave Lado of DePaul, which gives me a chance to announce we have a small schedule change. Kevin Willard of Seton Hall is supposed to be on 40 minutes after the hour. We're going to have to move Kevin till the end of the call. They are practicing now, getting ready to go to the airport for their trip to Marquette for their opener. So we will have Kevin Willard, but he will be on at the end of the call, approximately 12:20 Eastern time. And next up,
this is Dave Lato. I'm on the call.
Thanks, Dave. We have DePaul and Coach Dave Lato. DePaul 6-6 on the year so far, coming off a win last week over George Washington. DePaul's first game is Wednesday at home against Georgetown. And David, if you can give us maybe a comment or two on the team's progress to date, and then talk specifically about the matchup with Georgetown.
Well, yeah, thank you, and appreciate it. I think as we go into conference play, and I think most coaches look at it about the same way, and you are what your record says you are. And at 6-6, we've had some measure of success, and against some really good competition. Thus far, our schedule has been very challenging, and there have been times where we've met those challenges and shown some spark and some potential, and combination of playing hard and playing together. And the flip side to that is with 6 losses, which is obviously a lot at this time of year, we've also shown a propensity to not do the things that we need to do to be successful. And part and parcel to that is our schedule, as I mentioned, but the other part of it is just being new and trying to fit the pieces together into a system that is beneficial to our guys. On certain days has been a little bit of a challenge, and it's cost us on the win-loss side of things. So we're still a work in progress, as most teams are at this time of year. And now that we enter this phase of our schedule where our 18 conference games are going to define our season more than anything, we're hopeful and optimistic that with continued growth that we can take on a game-to-game challenge to be the best we can be. So we're excited and we're ready to go on Wednesday evening.
Questions for Coach Dave Lato? Hit *1 on your telephone. The operator will introduce you. *1 for questions, please. *1 for questions for Coach Dave Lato.
And we will take a question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Sean.
Hey, I was just wondering how did your second time back now at DePaul? Was it a little strange in the beginning, or did it feel like you never left when you started playing the game?
It's probably more the latter. Feeling like I never left. It almost seems so surreal because of many of the faces, not just at DePaul, but in the community, around Chicago were similar. And, I think one of the biggest challenges you have in taking a new job is figuring out the lay of the land, your allies and people you can rely on. And that was all put in place a long time ago. So just walking back into that environment made me feel really, really comfortable and energized, and it kind of got me started off on a good foot to take on the challenge of restoring the winning tradition back here at DePaul. So that part of it was really, really good, and I think it allowed me to embrace this community, and the community embraced me because there was a familiarity that went along with it. So I think, overall, it's been really good that way.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
And we'll now take a question from Kevin McNamara from the Providence Journal.
Dave, how are you?
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Dave, can you talk a little bit about adjusting to the league again? It's been a while since you've been in the league, and obviously with the non-conference, schedule you played, I'm sure you didn't have a lot of time to look across the league. I'm just curious what your impressions are of the league this year.
Well, obviously the records for many teams speak for themselves, and I think people that follow college basketball may be pleasantly surprised that some of the teams, Providence in particular, is doing as well as they're doing so early. But I think just knowing from afar and now in the middle of it that you have and have always had really good coaching. That's first and foremost. And when you do that, you give yourself a chance to win every night. And when you combine it with the style of play and the players involved, it's no surprise to me that we have so many teams doing so well. From my standpoint, looking at the challenge of the other 9 teams to go up against it, I don't know if I've looked at it, Kevin, as much historically in understanding the fabric of the Big East as I have what this moment is and how, starting with Wednesday against Georgetown, how we got to go about trying to win basketball games. And so, the tradition and the name, starting with Georgetown has meant so much to me and my past being part of the Big East in years gone by. But now knowing that the quality of the basketball is really high, so our preparation has to be really, really solid, and knowing that, for every game that we go into, understand it's going to be a war. It's going to be, hopefully, as competitive as it's always been since 1979. So, I'm very much looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll be ready for the challenge night in and night out.
Great, thank you.
Let's take one more question for Dave Lato, please.
And we'll take that question from John Fanta from the Big East Digital Network.
Coach, what exactly did you take out of that big win over George Washington that you need to continue to do moving forward here in conference play?
Well, what we talk about almost every day with our guys is there's 3 phases that we've got to be really good at. We've got to play as hard as we possibly can, and hopefully that means we're playing harder than our opponent. I thought that's the one thing that we did that night, and I think I've been pleased overall is that we haven't had very many games where we didn't play with a level of intensity, and so that's the first part of it. Second, we have to play intellectually each game very well, whether it's from a scouting standpoint or just doing what we do and making smart plays on both ends of the court. And we did do that night too. And then, we have to play very well together. And, when you're new, that sometimes is a challenge because the accepting and the trust of what's the system going to be about, and trusting the guy on the left and on the right of you isn't a natural thing that you just walk into the gym and have. And so all 3 of those things I thought we graded out really well in. And when we have not done as well, it's because we have not done something in one of those 3 areas, and that's cost us. So against George Washington, I thought, as a result of playing hard and playing smart and playing together, we were able to make some plays, especially starting off the game offensively, and it led to a really good defensive game for us.
Dave, we appreciate the time. We have to move on. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we are moving on to Coach Chris Holtman of Butler. Butler was one of the three teams that played last night. They defeated IUPUI 92-54. Bulldogs are ranked 9th in the AP, 10th in the USA Today poll, 11-1 on the season, getting ready to open their conference play with a game against Providence on Thursday afternoon. Chris, thanks for joining us on the call. If you could give us a brief comment on last night's game and then maybe a thought or two on your upcoming game against Providence.
Sure. Good to be with you all. It was I'd say, somewhat of a typical post-Christmas game in terms of I think both teams were a little bit sluggish coming out of the gates. And, hopefully we get some of that out of us here before we obviously run into a very, very difficult stretch, beginning with a terrific team here in a couple days in Providence.
Questions for Coach Chris Holtman of Butler. Hit star 1 on your telephone. The operator will introduce you.
And we'll take our first question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, Sean. How are you?
I'm good. I was wondering, can you talk a little bit about how the schedule just kind of jumps off with the 4 nationally ranked teams playing against each other Thursday, and just kind of like the depth and success the league has had so far in the non-con season?
Yeah, no, I think every league is judged at this point on how it's performed in the non-conference. That's all people have to judge it on. And some people might look at the reputation of a league, but I think everybody is I think I just heard Dave say you are what your record says you are, and our league's record right now, non-conference, is really good. And I think it shows the depth and the overall strength of our conference from top to bottom. And it's a terrific power league with terrific coaches and elite players. And obviously, we're excited to be a part of it, and I know that those couple games that people have mentioned there are going to be exciting ones for the fans and exciting ones for people who love the Big East. I think we're just focused on trying to improve our team and trying to get ready for Providence right now.
Thanks, Chris.
Sure.
And we'll go down to Tom Davis from Fort Wayne News Sentinel.
Coach.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, for those of us that haven't seen Providence play, give us a little bit of a scouting report on what they do and what problems they'll cause.
Sure. Well, I think they're really elite in both offensively and defensively. I think Ed has done such a terrific job with, as he always does, with their team plays to their strengths at a really high level. They're fast. Obviously, a lot of that begins with Chris, but they're fast, really 1 through 5, both in transition defense and transition offense. And they're versatile. They play exceptionally hard. And they have a great understanding of, I think each player has a great understanding of what he does and how that fits into his team's success. So, it's no surprise on my end that they're having the kind of year they're having, because I think while Chris is obviously one of the very best players in the country, he has a great group of players around him, and they're obviously well coached.
I know your team will evolve until the very end of the season. You never stop evolving, but as far as your bench goes, are you fairly satisfied with how you've developed your bench over the first couple months of the season?
Well, I think it's a work in progress, Tom, and it's fluid as it is with most teams, and what our bench is now hopefully won't it'll be different here in a month and a half and 2 months as we continue to hopefully grow it. But I think we've gotten some really, really good production from our bench, and we need to continue to get that, and we probably need the addition of a guy or two.
All right. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Sure. Thanks, Tom.
I will now take a question from Kevin McNamara from the Providence Journal.
Chris, can you talk about the kind of continued solid play from Andrew Shravitz? I think you said in media day that he might have been your most improved player over the summer. Has that panned out? At the start of the year.
Yeah, Andrew's been really good for us, and I think he continues to grow as a player and transition and grow his game, both defensively and offensively. I think there are things that he has to continue to work to do better, which he knows and continue to grow in. But he has such a terrific feel for the game at his position, and he brings that every night. And when he's at his very best, he brings a real level of toughness to us at his position. And I think I'm excited about his continued growth here as a player. He's in some of the best shape he's ever been. I think it's exciting for all of us.
The second part is, I think you're in the top 10 in the country in scoring, averaging 90 a game, I think it is. Are you that good offensively, or are you just off to a really, really good start?
Yeah, I think a lot of that is a byproduct of the schedule we played, to be honest with you. Not that we have played, I think we played a difficult and challenging schedule, but, you have that 144-point game against the Citadel that, kind of skews it in a lot of ways. We're certainly have done some things offensively in terms of our efficiency this year that I feel really good about, although we've not been as good here in the last couple of games. And we've done a good job handling the ball, and our pace has been good for the most part. So I think we've made some improvements in that area. But, I think our guys understand to expect that, we're going to go into league games and the games are going to be in the high 80s and early 90s that's not really realistic.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
We'll take one final question for Coach Chris Holtmann.
And we'll take that question from Eric Watkins from VUSports.com.
Good morning, Coach. I was wondering what aspect of your team's performance most surprised you during the non-conference season.
What aspect has most surprised me? I don't know if there's been any one specific area. I do think I have been a little bit surprised that we have consistently put up the kind of offensive numbers that we have put up. Although I said in the off season that we were going to be a good offensive team, had the potential to be a good offensive team. But I think that if there's been anything maybe that surprised me a little bit, that's it's been that. But I think our guys have a great awareness now that the game changes, and we're going to have to be really, really sound on both ends to have success in this terrific league.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
Chris, we are running out of time. We have to move on. We appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Now we are moving on to St. John's and Chris Mullen. St. John's so far this year 7-6 overall, and their next game is at home at Carnesecca Arena on Thursday against Creighton. Chris, thanks for joining us on the call. If you could give us a general thought or two on your team's progress to date, and then we'll open it up for questions.
Yeah, overall, I've been pretty pleased with our team's effort. As most of you guys know, we got a lot of new players, pretty much a whole new roster, and so the effort's been good. We're just trying to gain experience each and every day, be it game, film session, practice. Each and every day is a new experience for a lot of our guys. So I've been patient, and just really stressing skill work and fundamentals and playing together. So overall, I think we've won some games. I think we played well, and I actually thought we've lost a few games that we played pretty well. So it's really trying to be really upfront with them on their performance, on their effort level, and so from a analytical standpoint, from an effort standpoint, really just trying to be upfront with these guys and let them know what it takes to win college basketball games, and probably more importantly, what it's going to take to win the Big East.
And Chris, can you offer us a thought on Creighton, your first opponent?
Yeah, I've watched them a few times. They've got they play nice, fast-paced style. Got a really quick guard that really kind of ignites everything. So defense is going to be really important. We get back in transition. And a constant theme for us has been keeping our turnovers down and rebounding the basketball. So, you get back to I've told my guys at every level, I've played at every level and been around, the fundamentals help you win and lose. The other things are important, but defense, rebounding, turnovers, you can win those battles, you're going to give yourself a chance. If you lose 3 of those, you're going to probably lose the game.
Questions for Chris Mullin. Hit *1 on your telephone. The operator will introduce you.
We will take our first question from John Fanta from the Big East Digital Network.
Coach, in a sense, you said that you've learned a lot about your team and they're learning as every day goes on. Do you look at conference play where you kind of get a fresh start at 0-0? It's a new season. Does that offer a new, fresh sign for you going forward?
Well, I kind of treat each and every day like that. When you have young guys, I think it's really important, to retain the information from the day before, but not let, a win or loss dictate how you work the next day. And that's another thing we've been trying to, really focus on our daily habits. But this, we've had a little break here too between games, so I treat it a little bit like the All-Star break, like whatever happened prior to this holiday break here. Yeah, that it's kind of a fresh start, and we start new. And again, try and repeat the things we did well, and then try and learn from our mistakes.
Next question, please.
We'll take our next question from Devontae Brooks from Hoya 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Coach. Just talk about what's your overall impression of the Big East Conference so far. What's your overall impression of it?
Well, I've watched it, scouting the last few years, and I really like the way it's set up now. And I think it's set up as a basketball-only conference, which it was originally. I like the fact that you play each other home and away. I think that will develop real rivalries. And I think given time, it's going to develop into what Dave Gavitt originally created. And that's just going to take a little bit of time. But now that it's a tight conference, and we all know who's in there, and they got to a point where there were so many teams. I mean, I didn't know who was in the conference, but I think the way it's set up now is really set up for success.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
And we'll take a question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Hey, Chris, I have 2 quick questions for you, actually. First is, I know you've had a couple of firsts already, your first game as head coach, your first game at the Garden. I was wondering how much you're looking forward to your first conference game to coach. And I was wondering if you could talk about the depth of the conference and the success it's had so far this year.
Yeah, the first I've had, they really been, maybe because I'm getting old, I haven't really noticed them. They've been pointed out to me. I really, there's so much focus on, just on the practice and the preparation that those things come and go. But it's kind of cool, again, I hadn't been around so many years ago, with somewhat, I guess they call it the original Big East, and, being back involved in that, it's nice. It's nice to see people that have been involved over the years, and got a lot of respect for all those universities. So it's good. It's good, hard competition, a lot of respect, and great basketball. As far as the depth, I mean, speaks for itself. A lot of these teams have won a lot of games at a conference. I think they're well prepared, they're well coached, and obviously, I think any coach would tell you when you have good players, you're going to win games. So there's a lot of great players in this conference. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's going to be exciting.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
Chris, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
We've reached the spot where we usually have Kevin Willard of Seton Hall, and as I announced earlier, Kevin's going to be calling in at the end of the call. They're finishing practice and heading to the airport. So we will have Kevin Willard on from Seton Hall, but it'll be after Jay Wright, approximately 12:20 Eastern Time. Next up is Steve Wojciechowski of Marquette, and we'll see if we can get Coach on for a couple minutes earlier, which allows me some time to talk about a couple of things. One is our non-conference record is almost complete now. I think there's only 3 more non-conference games remaining for Big East teams, and we are 94-29. That's the 94-29. That's the non-conference record, and that's 76.4%. And also, as we said, we have 2 games on Wednesday, 3 games on Thursday. The 2 games on Wednesday are Seton Hall at Marquette, Georgetown at the Paul. Both of those games will be on FS1. And then on Thursday, we have 3 games, Xavier at Villanova, Creighton at St. John's. That game will be at Carnesecca, Providence at Butler. And then our New Year's Marathon is going to be on Saturday, January 2. And in order, starting at 11 a.m. in the morning, is DePaul at Seton Hall, Butler at Xavier, St. John's at Providence, Marquette at Georgetown, and the final game will be Villanova at Creighton. So that'll be our New Year's Marathon on January 2. And again, next up is Coach Steve Wojciechowski, and we'll try to have him for you momentarily.
Hello.
And it sounds like we have Coach Wojciechowski from Marquette, and as we just said, Marquette getting ready to play their first league game at home against Seton Hall. It's actually the first game of the league schedule this season. Marquette right now 10-2 overall and on a 9-game winning streak. And we appreciate you participating in the call. If you can give us maybe a thought or two on the team's progress to date, and then if you could talk specifically about Seton Hall.
Sure. I'm pleased with where our team is through the non-conference. I think we've gotten better since the beginning of the year. Our kids have shown good fight, togetherness, and toughness. We have a very young team, and we're putting a lot of young guys in key spots, but they've handled themselves well, and we're looking forward to the Big East. What our conference has done in the non-conference schedule has been amazing. I think it's the best conference in the country, and we're honored to be a part of it and getting going.
Questions for Coach Wojciechowski? Hit star 1 on your telephone, then the operator will introduce you.
And we will take our first question from John Santa from the Big East Digital Network.
Coach, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thank you.
What do you feel it is that really clicks for you out in Brooklyn? And if it was out in Brooklyn to you, was there a moment this season where you thought things really starting to click for you, and what was it, and what are those things that were clicking?
Well, I think obviously with the way we started the season, we had some adversity. We had a very tough loss at home to Iowa, and it made us all take a long look in the mirror, players, coaches, everybody. And I think our guys made our minds up from that point that that's not the direction we want this season to go. And I think their commitment has been an investment has grown each day since that point, and it's nice to see guys rewarded when they do make a big commitment and investment.
Next question, please.
And we'll go now to Matt Velazquez with Milwaukee Journal Sentinel.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
So when you look at Isaiah Whitehead, he's kind of a unique player in this league when you consider the volume at which he shoots. What's your philosophy in terms of paying him?
Well, I think he's one of the best guards in the country, and Seton Hall's perimeter has been dynamite throughout this early season, and obviously Whitehead is a huge key to that. The kid plays with a tremendous swagger. He's got really good size for a point guard, so he creates a lot of different matchup problems because of the pressure that he can put on you both off the dribble and with his ability to shoot. So it's going to take a team effort. A guy who is that talented, you don't just put one guy on him and say, try to contain him. It's going to take a team effort to try to slow him down and make things uncomfortable for him. But he's a terrific player.
All right, thanks.
I'm over now to Sean Brennan with BigEast.com.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Good, thanks.
I was wondering, can you talk about? You mentioned that you thought this was the biggest, best conference in the country. Can you talk about the challenges that with a conference with 4 ranked teams and a great non-conference schedule? What it's going to be like going into conference play, and it's going to be like a war every night for you.
Well, it is. I mean, every game is going to be a incredible battle. I think from top to bottom, our league is as good, if not better, than any league in the country. There's terrific talent, obviously great coaches, and each program has a great deal of pride. And so, you put all those things together, it creates an incredible recipe. And I think you saw it in the non-conference. I think our teams won over 3/4 of their games in the non-conference, and a lot of big-time wins over terrific opponents. It's going to be a battle every night in this conference, and it's a man's league. And so, hopefully, our young guys can keep growing into men.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And we'll go now to Eric Watkins from VUSports.com.
Morning, Coach. What aspect of your team's performance during the non-conference play was most surprising to you?
Well, I didn't know, we're starting 3 freshmen and a sophomore and guys who are going through this for the first time. And, we had some adversity early in the season, and a lot of times with young teams, when you meet adversity, there isn't always maybe the response that you would want. But I think our kids have responded in most situations, and they've shown a willingness to work and a very good competitiveness. And so you don't always, it's hard to tell, in high school completely how a kid will respond to the college level, but I think our guys have done a good job overall.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And we'll now take a question from Devontae Brooks from Hoya 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Coach. Happy holidays. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you very much.
Just talk about how Henry Ellison has started the season and what he has improved on from the beginning of the season until now, going into conference play.
Well, I think Henry's had as good a freshman year through the non-conference as anyone in the country. Obviously, he's a very key player for us. He's shown he continues to get better. His work ethic and his passion for the game are really good, and he can play all over the floor. He can play inside, he can play outside. He's a very good rebounder, passer, and so he's a key part of what we do.
Do we have any other questions for Coach Wojciechowski? Coach, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have the operator, please.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Hi. Let's wait 2 more minutes, and then we'll call out and see if we can get him.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Okay. Put me back in. Okay, we're still a few minutes away from Coach John Thompson III of Georgetown. We'll see if we can get him on a minute or two early. And again, we, quote, skipped over Kevin Willard of Seton Hall. He'll be back. He's going to call in at the end of the call. That's after Jay Wright. Jay is scheduled for 12:12, and we'll have Kevin Willard approximately at 12:20. And that's Eastern time, of course. So we'll see if we can get Coach Thompson on a minute or two early. And as I said earlier, non-conference records 94-29 and 29, which is 76.4%. Last year, slightly better than last year. Last year was 94-30. So at least so far this year, 94-29 for Big East against non-conference opponents. And also there was a question earlier about Butler's scoring, and right now Butler is ranked second in the nation in scoring, 89.9 points a game. Also, Creighton is in the top 10 in scoring. They are seventh after their 102-point effort last night. They are 87-4. So Butler is second in the nation, 89.9. Creighton is seventh at 87-4. And that's quite a change for Butler. And last year, Butler averaged 69.0 points per game. We also have teams on significant winning streaks right now. Xavier's on a 12-game winning streak. Marquette, as we referenced earlier, is 9 in a row. Butler is 8 in a row. Providence is 6 in a row. So those are the four longest winning streaks right now. Xavier 12, Marquette 9, Butler 8, Providence 6. And Butler plays Providence on Thursday. That game will be at Hinkle Fieldhouse, and it is already a sellout there, and is only going to be the second time in Hinkle Fieldhouse history that the two teams, and Butler and its opponent, will be ranked in the top 15. That's top 15, not top 25, top 15. So Butler, ranked number 9 in the AP, 10 in USA Today, against Providence, 12 in AP, 13 in USA Today. According to RPIratings.com, today's RPI rankings, Xavier is number 1, Villanova is number 6, Providence 13, Butler is 31. So RPIratings.com, individual teams, Xavier's 1, Villanova is 6, Providence is 13, Butler is 31. And next up on our schedule is Coach John Thompson III from Georgetown. We appreciate your patience. After Coach Thompson, we'll have Chris Mack of Xavier, Jay Wright of Villanova, and then Kevin Willard, Seton Hall. Our next call will be, the next few calls are on Thursdays. It'll be January 14, January 28, February 11th. The call after that will be on a Friday, Feb 26th, because we have a couple of games on Thursday. We are hanging on for Coach Thompson, who we're told is dialing in momentarily here. And we expect the number for for the media to participate in the call. We expect the same phone number for the remainder of our calls this season. Now we have Coach Thompson in from Georgetown. The Hoyas so far 7-5 this year, and their first league game is at DePaul on Wednesday. We have Coach John Thompson III. Coach, thanks for joining us on the call. If you could give us a general thought of your team's progress to date, and then if you could talk about your matchup with DePaul coming up.
Yeah, conference play starting, and everyone's excited / anxious. If you look at our preseason, our pre-league, probably didn't go as we would have liked, but at the same time, I think we're okay. I think we're okay. I think we have ways to improve, but I think our guys are making progress in the right direction. Starting off on the road in Chicago, against an experienced DePaul team who just had a really good outing against GW. As with every league game, it's going to be a big challenge.
Questions for Coach Thompson? Hit *1 on your telephone. The operator will introduce you.
And we will take our first question from Gene Wang from the Washington Post.
Hi, John. Happy holidays to you. What in the last this little break you've had here between games? What are the main areas you've been focusing on with your team as you go into the Big East opener?
I think everything we've been trying to touch on as the year is going on. Just we have to continue to get experience and gain the understanding that every possession is important, every half is important. It's not just the beginning of the game, it's not just the end of the game, it's just understanding that at both ends of the court we have to execute. And so, we spent a lot of time at both ends of the court the last couple of days here, and hopefully it'll show up on tomorrow.
And John, also kind of follow up to that in terms of the three-point shot selection in the last 3 games. I think you've been averaging about 23, 24 threes a game. Is that something you want to do, or do you want to take less threes, or how do you kind of balance that out?
If they're open and if they're good shots, I don't mind them taking them.
Next question, please.
And we'll now to Ben Stendig from CSNMidAtlantic.com.
Hey, John. Good morning. Just curious about defense now that you've had a chance to, with this extra days, to look back at what you guys have done and just in general to this point of the year. Is there anything defensively that sort of stands out to you that's been different from years past for you guys?
Quite a bit, actually. I think I just want to make sure we keep getting better. We don't have a presence that can direct traffic defensively, and so one of the I'm thinking back to Mikael Hopkins, and everyone in analyzing him, you look at points, rebounds, but his main strength was he was able to not only guard his position but place everyone else where they needed to be. And we've got some young guys out there that we're asking a lot of, freshmen and sophomores, that sometimes need placing. And so we're trying just to get everyone to understand our community. So to that end, we don't have one person to do it. So we need our overall communication has to be better than it has been. We have to start talking to each other more, louder, listening better as we go through each possession.
And just to sort of follow up on that, I know that typically you don't when we talk about having young players, at some point they freshmen become sophomores and things like that. But with so many young players on your team, underclassmen, how much has that impacted the defense, just not having as many guys that you may typically have who've been around for a long time?
Is that Ben?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a part of it, but that's not an excuse. I mean, at this point, now that we've played the schedule that we've played, and they've played the minutes that they've played, everything has to start clicking right now. And so, has it been a part of the equation? Absolutely. When you look out there in significant periods, you have all freshmen and sophomores out there. But that's what we want. That's what they want. If you want to play at this level at a young age, you have to produce. You have to get it. You have to understand. And so, I have the responsibility of bringing them up to snuff, and they have the responsibility of getting there because they can. It's not like we have a group that can't get there. We have a group that can, and so now we just have to take that next step.
Thank you.
And we'll go now to Eugene Evans from College Sports Overload.
Hey, Coach. Happy holidays. I just wanted to get your thoughts on, the new Big East in its third season. Seems as if its identity is starting to take shape now with 4 teams in the top 20 heading into conference play. Just your thoughts on the depth of the conference from 1 to 10.
Well, I think that our identity has never changed. The Big East is the Big East. What I think is happening is that possibly the rest of the world is realizing, oh, wow, they didn't go anywhere. And so, without a doubt, we have some of the toughest, some of the best teams in the country. That has always been the case. That will always be the case. And so I think, the identity of the Big East, if you look at the identity of the Big East right now, it's much similar to what it was 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 15 years ago. I think just the rest of the country who for some reason thought we were going to go away is now realizing we're not.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
I will take a question now from Steve Pivovar from Omaha World Herald.
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
Hey, I guess from a basketball standpoint, when you've tried to analyze some of the things that haven't worked out so far in the non-conference, is there anything that you expected to be doing better than you've actually done, and that's kind of contributed to some of the struggles?
Well, I think it's been well expressed, well documented, articulated. Our defense, I expect it to be better than it is right now. Every aspect of it. And
I guess I assume you're spending a lot of time trying to correct that then.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thanks, John.
A lot of prayer also.
I apologize.
No, I just said a lot of prayer also.
Yes, sir. And we'll take a question now from Bobby Bancroft from Associated Press.
Hey, Coach. A lot was made before the season started about your tough non-conference schedule, and you guys have picked up some unexpected losses to teams people weren't really expecting, as well as those losses happened at home. Is it a function of the team being young and getting up for certain games and maybe not getting up for some of the, quote, mid-majors? And how important is it for you guys to, during the conference schedule, protect your home court, something you've done very well during your career?
I think it would be easy to just sit here and say, yes, we're a young team. Yes, they don't understand that regardless of what names on the front of the chest, we're playing good players and good teams. And that's solely a function of immaturity. And that probably is part of it, but I don't want to accept that. We have had a very difficult out-of-conference schedule. And, I made a point of, even the teams that are quote-unquote mid-majors to try to schedule teams that are going to compete for their league title. And all of them have been veteran teams. We haven't played a young team at that level yet. And so you take that risk. I mean, scheduling is an inexact science. I thought it was the best thing for our group this year. Sitting here now, would I do it all again? Probably not. It's an inexact science. And so now we sit here with some good wins, some bad losses. And what's most important is did this team learn and grow from it, and can we stop making the same mistakes that put us in this position? Because everything is heightened now the conference play starts. Everything, there are no surprises. Everyone knows what we're going to do and how we're going to try to do it, and we know what they're going to do. And so it just comes down to execution. And so we have to really, really start to execute better both ends of the court.
John, Coach, we appreciate your time. We have to move on, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you. Next up, we have Coach Chris Mack of Xavier. Xavier so far this year 12-0 on the season. They're ranked 6th in both the national polls. It's the highest ranking in school history. Xavier is getting ready to go to Villanova for their first game. It's on FS1 at noon Eastern Time on Thursday. Coach Chris Mack is on the line. Chris, thanks for joining us. If you can give us maybe a general thought on the team's progress to date, and if you could talk specifically about the matchup with Villanova.
Well, we obviously our results have been good, but I'm still not quite satisfied with the potential that I think our team has, the consistency that I think we can play with even more of. We have had some really good halves at times, and then at times have really sort of taken the foot off the gas pedal, and you obviously have to give credit to the opponent on that particular night. But I think that the one thing that's carried our team throughout the entire non-conference part of the slate is we've been a really good practice team. And, that's hidden from fans, it's hidden from media. But who we are every day in practice has really been a product of what happens in the games. And, to that end, I've been pleased. But, the season's a lifetime. We obviously have some tremendous challenges ahead. Starts on Thursday against Villanova, who's the best team in the conference until proven otherwise. So, I like where we're at, but, again, the season's a lifetime.
Take questions for Coach Chris Mack, please.
We'll take our first question from Eric Watson from VS Sports.
Coach, how do you think that you'll approach defending Villanova perhaps differently than the way you did last season during this year's game?
We won't approach it any differently. We just have a better defensive team than we did a year ago. We don't often change from game to game. We try to establish habits in our players so that we can continually improve as both individual defenders and as team defenders. If we change from game to game based on who we're playing, then we don't really have habits that we can fall back on. So we're a much different team. It's not so much defending them differently. It's just being better at what we do.
Okay, and is there one aspect of your team's play during the out-of-conference schedule this year that has surprised you?
Well, I don't know if I'd say surprised, but certainly very pleased, and surprised to maybe a lesser extent. A year ago, I think our defense at this time was somewhere in the statistical category of Ken Palm, around 70th in the country defensive efficiency, and to date we're 4th. And I find it hard to believe that there aren't 3 better teams. I think there's a lot more better teams defensively, but I think our team is much better. Offense is going to come and go from game to game, from player to player. Guys, get in scoring droughts. But if your defense can be stout, if it can be something you can rely on each and every game, you're always going to be in a game. And so I think probably our defensive mindset and our results have probably been the most pleasant surprise for this team.
Thanks, Coach.
And we'll now take a question from Shannon Russell from the Cincinnati Enquirer.
Hey, Coach.
Hey, Shannon.
Just to kind of piggyback off the last question, talking about how well you've done defensively in the non-conference, why do you think that is that the team has been so successful so early, even with new pieces here?
Well, a year ago we were a lot younger at several positions. We had a lot of freshmen, You had Trayvon, you had JP, you had Larry at times. And then just because a guy doesn't necessarily play in games, it still dictates the pace of your practice, what you can go on to next, just an understanding of college basketball. And when you have 6 guys that are coming from the high school level, it's hard to be as locked in. It's hard to be as disciplined, as energetic as you need to at the college level. I mean, just it's a world of difference. So I think we've gotten older. I think our upperclassmen have done a tremendous job at valuing it, which means your younger players are going to value it. And I think we've also gotten quicker in certain positions that maybe hurt us a year ago.
Thank you.
I will now take a question from Joel Giuliano from Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hi, Chris. You mentioned in your opening that you're very happy with the way your guys practice, and that's usually a function of leadership among the players. Who are the 1 or 2 guys that set the tone for you guys as far as practice performance?
I think our 3 oldest players, that would be James Farr, who I couldn't be more proud of. James barely played as a freshman. I think he may have played less than 60 minutes his entire freshman year. If we weren't such a thin team at the time, I would have redshirted him. He's a guy that just values the process, and his approach every day has really been infectious. Remy Abel, who's in his 5th year of college basketball, he's played on 3 Sweet 16s in his 3 competing seasons. And then Miles Davis, who I'm equally as proud of. Miles was just a shooter as a freshman. And he's grown in so many different ways. He defends. He does a lot more on offense, and he's also developed into a really good leader. Both on game night and in practices. So those 3 guys specifically have been sort of our voice, if you will, on the practice floor every day.
And Villanova lost 3 starters from last year's team at 133 games. Do you, when you watch them, do you see anything different about them or similar? What do you think?
I think Coach Wright does an incredible job of getting his players to play extremely hard. They challenge you when they're on the defensive end every possession. They're pecking and ratting at the ball. They fly to penetration and take charges. They gang rebound. They speed teams up. And, a lot's been made of how they play offensively. He gives them tremendous freedom. They have guys that can, shoot the ball. They share the ball as well as any team will play all year. But to me, when I think of Villanova, and I watch Villanova both last year and this year, I just think of the tremendous effort they play with on the defensive end.
Thank you.
We'll take one final question for Chris Mack, please.
And we will take that question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Sean.
Hi. I was wondering if you could just kind of comment on the stature of the league right now with yourself and 3 other teams in the top 20 and the great non-conference schedule. Just your thoughts going into conference play.
Well, it's a tremendous feather in our league's cap, to challenge themselves and ourselves like we did during the months of November and December. We had a ton of teams do extremely well in the exempt event tournaments. Teams also had highlighted games where they performed really well, and you carry all those trophies, if you will, in the conference play. And conference play is going to be a monster. We all know it. As John said on the call previous, everybody knows everybody's secrets. But, to this point, I don't know if any conference has played better in America than the Big East. And, it's just a credit to, terrific players that play together, coaches that, have the faith of their team. And it's just, it's been fun to watch our conference members, our fellow members, battle the way they have in the early months.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Chris, we have to move on. Thank you very much for your time. We'll see you on Thursday. Thank you.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
And we're moving on to Villanova, the other team on that. Now we're moving on to Villanova and Coach Jay Wright. Villanova getting ready to play Xavier. Villanova played last night, beat Penn 77-57, and the Wildcats right now are 10-2. Jay, thanks for joining us. If you can give us a thought or two on the upcoming matchup with Xavier, and then we'll take questions, please.
Got it, John. I think we're in a good spot finishing non-conference schedule. We still have one more against Temple later in the year, but this is Big East time now, and to have one of the top teams in the country and in our conference coming in for the opening game is really exciting and a great test for us. I think Xavier is playing as well as anybody in the country. The only team I haven't seen is Michigan State, but I've seen everybody else either live or on TV, and I think they're playing as well as anybody and will be able to throughout the season. So we're proud to have them coming into our place. It's going to be a great atmosphere and great game.
Questions for Coach Jay Wright? It's star 1 on your telephone, please. The operator will introduce you.
Okay, and we will take our first question from John Santa from the Big East Digital Network.
Coach, last night he got off to an outstanding start, and you guys really coasted from there. How important is it for you to continue to get contributions from Daniel O'Sheffel like the one he gave you last night?
Very important, John. Daniel's a senior leader on our team. He's obviously a big part of our inside game. What he really did well last night was defend the Princeton offense in terms of guarding their big kid out on the perimeter and really taking them out of their offense. I mean, he hit some big shots and scored, but defensively, when you play those teams, they bring your 5-man out onto the perimeter, and you've really got to guard like a perimeter guy, and Daniel did a great job, and that's what really got us off to a great start defensively.
Next question, please.
And we'll take a question from Joe Giuliano from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Hey, Jay. How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
When you watch Xavier, what do you see different in this team than last year's team, which was also pretty good? But what has brought Xavier to this the status they've enjoyed so far this season?
Just a very disciplined, well-coached team. They're always that way, but you can just see the maturity in what they do. It's a Sweet 16 team that's got most of the team back, and that experience for a team is really valuable. When you get guys that come back from that, and you can see they're taking the right aspects from the success they had last year: hard work, commitment to defense, commitment to rebounding, unselfishness. You're seeing all that really evolve in their team this year, and it's, as I said, I really think they're as good as anybody in the country, and it's great for our league. Not great for us for our next game, but great for the league.
And your own defense, obviously you had concerns at the beginning of the year, but your numbers are pretty good as you got through the pre-conference schedule. Where do you think it stands right now, your defense?
It's still a work in progress, Joe. Our numbers probably are a little bit. I think our defensive numbers are a little bit better than probably what we are, and I think our offensive numbers are a little bit worse than what we are. I still think we need a lot of work in that area. We consider rebounding part of defense, and we're not doing as good a job as we need to there. And Offensively, I think we've had some nights where, even like last night, we're a good free throw shooting team. We didn't make free throws, but I still think we're a good free throw shooting team. So I think our offensive numbers are really not indicative of what we can be offensively, and defensively, it's the reverse.
Thank you.
You got it.
We'll take a question now from Eric Watkins from VUSports.com.
Hi, good morning, Coach. What aspect of your team's play to date has been most surprising to you during the out-of-conference season? Kind of what thing where maybe you're not expecting to see from the team that you have seen?
I don't know, Chris. I think we kind of are, or Eric, I'm sorry. I think we are kind of where I thought we'd be. I'm really not that surprised. As I said in talking to Joe, I still think we need to be a little bit better defensive team, and we definitely need to be a better rebounding team, and offensively, I think we're going to be pretty good. But I guess what's surprising is that our numbers look good defensively, and offensively, like our 3-point shooting percentage doesn't look as good. So I guess my surprise would be that the numbers really don't show where we are.
And do you think when you mention rebounding as an aspect of your defense, do you have more ceiling or upside in that area? What can you do differently to be better on the boards given the construct of your roster?
I think we've just got to execute in the rebounding realm better. We got to block out better. We got to go pursue the ball better. We've got to have more of a commitment to it. We've got to be in better position defensively when shots go up. The execution of rebounding, I think we can get a lot better.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
You got it, E.
We'll take one final question for Jay Wright, please.
And we'll take that question from Sean Brennan from BigEast.com.
Hey, Jay.
Hey, Sean. How are you, buddy?
Good, man. Hey, listen, just wanted to get your thoughts on the conference as a whole with the 4 top 20 teams and what you think they've achieved in the non-conference schedule.
I'm really excited about where the conference is. I'd like to say this is what we all predicted. I think it's what we all hoped, because you didn't know, when you started something new like this, we're a unique conference in that it's all basketball programs and top to bottom, 1 through 10, it's the number one sport at every institution, and I think we had hoped that would show in just consistency every year. And if you get 6 teams in a tournament, you got 10 teams top to bottom that are all basketball schools. Every year, you could have 4 or 5 teams in the top 20, but it could be different teams, and that's exactly how it's played out. I think teams like Georgetown, Seton Hall, even DePaul just got a great win. Those teams also are all capable of being Marquette too, Creighton. I mean, shoot, you name them all. I'm thinking of wins each of those teams have had. They all are capable of being top 20 teams, and I think we just stick to our mantra that we're the most unique conference in the country, and we're the only all basketball conference, and let it play out. Whatever we say about it doesn't matter. We got to go win games, and we're doing it. And now we got to go battle each other, and all those games have to be great games, and I think they will. And then let everybody say what they will about it, but it's all basketball. It's big time basketball teams, big time basketball schools, and I think we're all fortunate to be a part of it.
Hey, thanks, Jay.
Got it, buddy.
Jay, we appreciate the time as always. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, Johnny.
Thanks. Now we are coming back with Seton Hall and Coach Kevin Willard. And Seton Hall is getting ready to get on a plane shortly, as a matter of fact, to go to Marquette. Seton Hall at Marquette on Wednesday, FS1, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Both teams are 10-2 going into the game. Kevin, thanks for joining us on the call. If you can give us a comment on your team's progress to date, and then talk specifically about the matchup.
Yeah, thanks, John. Our progress has been pretty good. I'm happy with where the guys are concentrating and focusing on the areas that we really need to get better at. They've really focused in on some areas over the last couple weeks, and I think it's helped us in some games. And we're excited for league play. Obviously starting off against a really good Marquette team who's well balanced, really terrific defensively. For as young as they are and replacing some older guys last year, I'm really impressed with what they've been able to do defensively on a consistent basis. So we have an extremely tough challenge going to Marquette, but we're also excited about league play starting.
Questions for Coach Kevin Willard? Hit star 1 on your telephone, please.
We will take our first question from Jerry Carino from Gannett, New Jersey.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, Joe.
The game against Marquette last year, that saw them in the Big East tournament, does your team draw anything from that? Will they use that as motivation, or is that complete ancient history with all the pieces that have changed?
Ancient history. We're a different team. They're a different team. We haven't thought about it. It's just something that, last year is last year, and this year's, we have new challenges. They didn't have Henry Ellison last year, and, we didn't have, sophomores. So, everybody's got different challenges this year, so it's a different game.
Now, on Ellison, what are your thoughts on him and how you might, approach dealing with him?
Yeah, he's extremely talented. Maybe as good a freshman that's come into our league in a long, long time. Just because, obviously he's scoring 17 points a game and getting 10 rebounds, but he is as good a passer as I've seen from a big guy. He makes everybody better on the court. He's got an ability to push the ball when he gets rebounds. He posts up little guys. He has, he's got a ton of different ways that he can hurt you. And I think with Fisher being down there, they are a really tough, as good a 4-5 combo in the league.
Thanks, Kevin.
All right, Joe.
I will now take a question from Eric Watkins from VUSports.com.
Good morning, Coach. I was interested in learning what you feel is the most surprising aspect of your team's performance during its non-conference schedule this season.
I think the most surprising thing has been the consistency of our bench play. I've been really happy with the way our guys coming off the bench have consistently given us great effort and, really at times picked us up offensively and given us a spark. Something I think that's really helped us in some of the games that we've played where we've struggled to score at times, and our bench has come in and consistently given us, a good burst of energy and a good burst of shooting. So I think by far that that's been my best surprise, and it's been one of our strengths.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
And we'll now take a question from John Santa from the Big East Digital Network.
Coach, Merry Christmas.
Johnny, you couldn't just come up to my office?
I'm in Ohio.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'd have to book a flight for that.
Sorry.
Everybody looks at Isaiah Whitehead, Angel Delgado, but especially in the defensive end, what do you think it is that Ishmael Sanogo continues to give you, and how much do you look forward to him taking on the challenge of Marquette's front court on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, Ish has been, Ish is a product of, you always read those quotes about, hard work gets repaid and all that stuff about hard work. And Ish is a kid that just worked extremely hard from the time he stepped on campus. He's worked on his body, he's worked on his game, and something that Ish does is, he just has a great motor. He came in hungry this year, and, he wanted to prove that he could play at this level. And to his credit, he's worked extremely hard to be a major factor, especially on the defensive end. I mean, he really covers for a lot of guys. He's always active. He seems to be in the right position most of the time, and he's been especially defensively, with him and Derek out there, really helped us become a better defensive team than we have been in the past.
Safe travels, Coach.
Thanks, Johnny boy.
We'll take one more question for Coach Willard.
And we will take that question from Clayton Collier from WSOU Radio.
Coach, how are you?
Hey, Clayton, how are you?
Good. Whether it's drawing a three-point play or knocking down the three, Desi has really stepped up big for you guys so far in non-conference. How big has the success been for you guys in the past 12 games?
Yeah, Desi's been huge for us in the fact that, he's given us, obviously we know what we're getting with Isaiah. We know what we're getting with Kadeen. Both those guys have been really, we give them a heavy workload. But having a guy on the wing that's been able to score in different ways, Desi just doesn't, you never know how Desi's going to get you. Sometimes it's out in the break, it's a steal, it's an offensive rebound, it's a tough finish, or he's been shooting basketball very well. So I think having that third scorer on the wing has, given Isaiah, given Kadeen and Derek, confidence and given some space in the fact that, you really got to be honest with Desi because, we run a lot of plays for him. He's involved in the offense a lot. So, having that third guy has really helped us, and he's been very consistent, and he's worked hard to be consistent.
Thank you.
Kevin, we appreciate you calling in. Safe travels. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, John. Thanks.
Thanks. That concludes our call for today. Our next call is going to be Thursday, January 14th. Same call-in number. We appreciate you joining us on today's call. Thank you very much.
And ladies and gentlemen, once again, this does conclude today's conference. We do thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, this does conclude today's conference. We do thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, this does conclude today's conference. We do thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, this does conclude today's conference. We do thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, this does conclude today's conference. We do thank you for your participation. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Again, this does conclude today's conference. We do